Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Football Fignuts podcast. This is season 6, episode 19. Counted all of them up until right now. You listening to this one, it is 258 episodes. I'm Craig.
And I am Britt.
Britt, we're back yet again
Yes.
after week 12.
How was your DFS week? Mine was extremely profitable.
Mine was terrible, but
Really?
I did tournaments. Actually, no. No. Wait. I made like $5 on one, 30,000 person tournament. I came in like 500th out of like 15,000 people or something. So I guess not.
Did you use Byron Pringle?
I did not. But
Okay.
fantasy-wise, I had a very good week. So
Oh, I had a terrible week season long, but in DFS I had a fantastic week. I cashed in almost every. I even cashed in the daily dollar, the $1 single entry that DraftKings do. I normally just chuck my lineup in there. I'm like, all right, I get like $3 out of it. I even cashed in that, and I was like, holy crap! So,
Nice.
but you know what? I'm getting ahead of us. We need to start where we always start. Craig, what are you drinking?
so tonight, I felt like I wanted something a little more desserty. Because I do have another shipyard in the fridge, but I'm like, I had that on the podcast last week.
Yeah.
But this, I have an Elysian Dark O' the Moon pumpkin stout.
Oh yeah, that's their pumpkin stout. Yeah,
very
Cinch
good.
likes that one too. Cinch likes that one
Cinch
too.
gave me this one, so thank you, Cinch.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not shocked that he shared that with you because I talked to him about that. That one was like his second favorite. Or was that his favorite or his second favorite?
I don't know.
I ran into him at the tree lighting, and he was like, I only have like a minute because my family is here, and he was like, I had the best pumpkin stout I've ever had. And he was like, and he said something. I was like, was it Dark of the Moon? And he goes, maybe, or I can't remember. He told me the name. When he hears this,
he likes the nitro one too. The pumpkin.
that's
nitro.
it.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. It was the Southern Tier in
Yep.
Nitro Pumpkin. That's
Yep,
it. Thank
he gave
you.
me
I'm
some of
glad
that
you
too.
remember that. He was like, this is easily the best pumpkin beer I've ever had. And he's like, it's creamy. It's like a stout should be. And I'm like, that's the Nitro, dude. That is the Nitro. And once you said Nitro, it clicked in my brain meats. Because he was like, I've had Nitro stouts before, but I didn't realize that there was a difference. I'm like, oh yeah, Nitro stouts are so much creamier. And then he asked me the question that I couldn't answer. He was like, well, why? I'm like, I have no idea.
Nitrogen,
Science,
air,
yes, because of
bubbles.
science.
There's a lot of
I should've
science
put-
in beer. You know,
There is a lot of science in beer.
It's
People
chemistry.
don't realize
A lot
it, but
of
there really
chemistry.
is. It is a lot of chemistry. So I am drinking diet soda. Why am I drinking diet soda? Because I was off most last week, so I had drinks pretty much every night. And by Sunday, I found a note on the dresser, a Dear John letter from my liver. So I'm taking a couple of days off, and I've got Lobby Legends this weekend. So
that's right.
I'm not
Day
gonna-
drinking for you.
yeah, no. It's a night. It's night.
Oh, it is.
The lobby,
Okay.
the Lobby Legends is starting at 6 o'clock Friday, and then the finals is 6 o'clock Saturday. So I said to my wife, I'm like, all right, so if people have no idea what I'm talking about, on Twitch, www.twitch.tv, I have a channel called Howard Moon BG. It's all one word. We play video games, mainly a game called Hearthstone, but I also sometimes cast tournaments, and there's a tournament I was invited to cast this weekend, so I'll be on. But the thing about the Lobby Legends, it's a unique format where there's no set number of games on that last day. It depends on if one player dominates the field, the tournament ends early. If they all kind of win here and there, it just keeps going. So it could be 4 games or it could be 11. So I could literally be done at 8:30 Saturday night, or I could be up until Sunday morning at 3 a.m.
Okay then.
Yeah. So I was like, I can't drink Saturday night, but that just means Sunday at football, I am going to be having a few more drinks.
Not that Sean's going to listen to this. I should be able to go, but
You want me to just call you when we're heading to his house?
yes, but do they realize the Bengals and Chiefs are playing each other this week?
I don't think so, and that was one of the things I was going to talk about. So, well, Craig and I we're just sitting here making our weekend plans.
We
on
are.
the podcast, you know?
Sorry, it's fine.
So are you bringing wings, bro? What are you bringing to this thing? Yeah. No. Oh my God! I just channeled Blake Bortles' voice there by
You
complete
did.
accident.
You did.
That was totally accident. I haven't done it in so long that I just haven't.
Sometimes it has to
just-
be done.
It just slipped out. If you go to a tailgate with Blake Bortles, you know what Blake Bortles brings? Everything you want. You want wings, you want ribs. Blake Bortles, he literally has a magic chest in the back of his. If you open it up, it's whatever you want's in there. Okay, done with that. All right, yeah, we help Sean, our contributor Sean. We help him with inflatables every year, and this Sunday is Winter Inflatable Day. But I forgot that I accidentally booked a lunch date. So that's why we're talking about when we get there. It's insane. But you guys don't need to hear about what's going on with our social lives. It's boring as hell. All right, burning hot takes. Let's move on to burning hot takes because I'm rambling at this point.
Sure.
I'm only 5 minutes in. I'm already completely off script already. So, burning hot takes. I've made the executive decision you're going to give this week. So what do you got for me?
All right. So my first one is going to be, because we're doing this live, and I know you enjoy numbers.
Yes. I'm the numbers guy.
You are. I know someone who is a Ravens fan, and
I'm sorry.
He's very upset about this year. They're playing terrible for the Ravens.
They had higher hopes. Let's put it that way.
They had much higher hopes. He does not think, and I don't think so either, that the Ravens are going to sign Lamar because I don't even know if it's because they don't want him, but I don't think they can afford him now after the Mahomes contract and the Kyler Murray contract. So, if we go to that site that shows the cap numbers, I just wanted to see who do you think in theory, who can afford Lamar next year?
So you have it up in front of you?
I did, and then I closed the window.
Oh, geez. See, I think honestly, for that conversation, I would need to know who has space. It really comes down to.
Let's see.
All right, so I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it generally. There's two factors. Who has a lot of cap room, but is also close without having a high draft pick, is what I'm saying. Okay, so for example, the Denver Broncos, they're going to have a high draft pick. They're not close. They're not going to go after a Lamar unless they think they have the pieces to build around Lamar already. So who has the pieces and the cap space and isn't going to be able to draft someone is really the question in my mind.
Let's see.
Do we have an answer to this question?
Now, if we go by see the way the contracts are structured, I guess they could be like top loaded or like spread out, because I think that matters too.
Sure.
Like who can afford them? Let's see. Let's see over the cap here.
I'm tired of waiting for you. I'm doing it myself.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the first team
it's
right
the
off
Bears.
the bat. Well, I'm looking at 2022. I need to look at 2023.
Oh,
right?
okay. I was looking at 2023.
We should be looking at 2023. Bears is a no, right? They've got their quarterback of the future in Justin Fields. The next name down, though, is the Atlanta Falcons. And they don't have their quarterback of the future, in my opinion.
They do not, but they don't have a lot of pieces.
But they're also not going to have a high draft pick because they've already won, what's their record? They won 7 or 8 games, right?
I will check. Let's see.
NFL, we're doing it live.
It's the point of hot
NFL
takes
standings.
live.
NFC, the Falcons are 5-7. Right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. The entire NFC North, except for the Vikings, drafts ahead of them.
Yes.
As of right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 teams drafting ahead of them if the season ended today. They are literally middle of the pack. They are not getting a franchise quarterback at 15th.
No.
So they would be, for me, there's my answer. Do you want to look at the first place I think is probably going to have the opportunity is probably going to be the Falcons. Now, all right, you want to skip the Falcons? The next name down is the Patriots. They don't do that. They never bring in high-priced quarterbacks.
Not even a little.
Next name is the Giants. They've got their guy. The name after that is the Seahawks. So I'm going to go with the Falcons or the Seahawks as the landing spot for Lamar if he does not re-sign in Baltimore. What do you think?
See, I was thinking more like, I was kind of thinking one of the New York teams, personally, but
the Giants are doing better with Jones. I don't think they're going to make it. The Jets could, but the Jets don't have nearly as much space. The Ravens have $47 million in cap space. They have $47 million off the cap. So they could do it. I
They
think he
could,
stays.
but
I
then I
think he
don't
stays.
think. Yeah, but then I don't think they can afford anyone else. Like if they try
Yeah,
to give him like a Mahomes level, which he's probably gonna want
I
especially
agree.
after Kyler got his. But yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think he ends up staying, but if he doesn't, I'm going to say he goes to Atlanta or Seattle.
All right.
So, question for you,
Yep.
and this is one I know I'm opening what do you call it? A hornet's nest when I say this one. Emmanuel, I don't even know how to say that guy's last name. Emmanuel
Acho.
Ocho, Acho. It's Acho. I always want to call him Ocho, and it's Acho.
No, that's Chad Johnson.
Yeah, that's. Oh yeah. Um, went on Fox on his show. I think it was called One Sided or something like that. I don't watch Fox Sports if I can avoid it at all. Joe Buck worked for Fox Sports, so I try to avoid it. And basically ripped Kyler Murray a new one. And he basically sat there and said, this guy swaggers about, but he's never won anything in the NFL. He talks about, you won a Heisman in college, but you get hurt when your team is good. Your team is bad right now, and he basically put it out there that it seems like Murray's not confident. Murray is what's the word I'm looking for? Jeez.
Cocky?
Yeah, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I'm looking to see if I can find the exact quote. Here it is. Okay, so let me get this. Let me get this actually. Arrogant is the word I'm looking for, and that's the word he uses in his speech. So I'm going to read you the quote, and then I want your response to it. So this is what Emmanuel Akko said. I can't stand the arrogance Kyler Murray speaks with. What has he done in the NFL, not in college? In college, bad man won a Heisman, but what has he done in the NFL to speak with that kind of pompous arrogance? Be 7-1 as a starter through 8 games last year and then get hurt, collapse down the stretch, and then be atrocious in the playoffs? Being 4-8 so far this season? Be a losing quarterback thus far in his career through 4 seasons? What has Kyler Murray done so far in his career to speak with that kind of arrogance? And he just keeps going on.
Right.
But Craig, your thoughts is Kyler Murray arrogant or is he just confident?
Going by how Kyler Murray has played, excuse me. It's almost like the Zach Wilson thing, sort of. It's like it's in the same realm. Like Zach Wilson taking no responsibility when he was up on the podium answering questions and just said no and left. Like you can't do that. You're a quarterback. You are, through your contract, you are obligated to talk to the press, so you have to. You and the coach are basically the face and voice of the team because they don't really talk to anyone else on the team. Unless something big happens. And if you go by last season where the Cardinals just fell apart, and then you think about the giant contract the Cardinals offered him or gave him this year, and they had to add in the damn Call of Duty clause, even though that's not what it's called, of him having to study for an hour a day.
Right.
And now you've won 4 games, and half the time if the play breaks down, he looks completely lost. Like he holds onto the ball way, way too long, like he's playing Madden, trying to make something happen. And then he goes on the news, not the news, he goes to answer questions at the podium, and he's throwing Cliff under the bus about play calling. And what's crazy is that he and Cliff have known each other since Kyler was 17 and he was in high school.
So you want some more fuel for the fire here?
Sure.
Earlier today on Patrick Peterson on his podcast, All Things Covered.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he does. Is it a podcast?
I don't know. Sure, let's say it is.
Yes, it's a podcast. He co-hosts the podcast All Things Covered with Bryant McFadden, the retired cornerback.
Okay.
And he said, quote, Kyler Murray don't care about nobody but Kyler Murray. That's just a fact. End quote. So revised question, is it open season on Kyler Murray suddenly?
I think it is now. Because like I was saying in our thread about Zach, you haven't won anything to So you say you look at like Brady. I'm not saying these other quarterbacks would be like this in an interview, but you look at Mahomes
Right.
and Brady, and I'll even say Rodgers because he is good and he's been playing a long time.
Yeah.
Like you compared to those three, like what have you haven't done anything. Like
And, that's
that's
the big thing.
You have nothing to stand on to have that arrogance about you. Like what's his name that got drafted, who said everyone was going to regret not drafting him, and now where is he? He's been on 4 different teams.
Oh, geez.
The hell, yeah, see? What's his name?
Oh, God, I can hear him saying it. Josh Rosen.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what do you think about going ninth? Like, there's 8 teams that are going to regret that they didn't draft me. Yeah. There's 8 teams that are toasting the fact that they were smart enough to avoid you.
It's the same
nightmare.
thing.
You were so good, bro, that they went out and drafted Tua in Miami. Did he start like 2 games there? Did he even start games? Maybe I'm wrong about that too. Here's what I'll say about the whole Kyler thing. You're bringing Zach Wilson into the conversation, and I think that's a good reference point. The difference is Kyler Murray has led a division and has been to the playoffs. Zach Wilson has not.
Right.
So, if you're telling me who has more of a license to have confidence, I'm going to say it's definitely Kyler over Zach. Does that mean Kyler Murray is entitled to the confidence level that is now bordering on arrogance? No. And that line is so thin between arrogance and confidence. For years, we thought Aaron Rodgers was confident. And then last year, he stood up in front of the world and said, yeah, I'm immunized, lied to us, and then was just kind of like, fucking deal with it. Yeah, and all of a sudden, now you got to stop and you got to rephrase it. Has he been confident or has he been arrogant this whole time? And maybe he hasn't been arrogant this whole time, but he's definitely being arrogant now. I'm sorry, lying to the NFL about your vaccination status and then laughing about how you fooled everybody about it is arrogance. So we see this, and it's funny. Arrogance, quarterbacks get away with it more than other positions, right? We see that. Marcus Peterson throws his socks into the stands and he gets shipped off. If a quarterback had done that and he was a good quarterback, there would have been conversation. When he did that, Marcus Peters was one of the top 10 corners in the NFL, possibly top 5, and Kansas City still shipped him out at the first chance. They were booking him a flight before he even made it out of the shower. Okay, if Mahomes had a meltdown and did that, would they have shipped him out? I don't think they would have. I don't think they would have. I think that so quarterbacks, and you're right, quarterbacks are the face of the team in most cases, so they get a little more attention on it. I think the Kyler Murray experiment has one more year. This team needs to win they're not winning in 2022.
No.
They need to win in 2023. They have to. The kid is talented, but he comes. If this is how he's coming across, that's not how you win locker rooms.
Nope.
And we've all seen what happens when a locker room turns on a quarterback.
Russell Wilson.
Yes. We've all seen this recently. Exactly. That Russell Wilson's a great example recently. We've seen it, and it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. All right, I'm wasting too much time. What's your second question for me? We're 20 minutes in. We're not even through burning hot takes. Jesus,
wow.
I'm slow tonight. I'm slow tonight.
I know. Yeah, well, you kind of screwed me up because that was my second question.
Was it? All right, then let's just move on.
All right, good.
Well, let's just move on to that's fine. And that's the thing with burning hot takes, guys. When we first started doing this, and I actually had time to prepare, during the pandemic, I was working from home. I could take a lunch break. Now that I'm back in the office, I was shoving a sandwich down my throat today at 12:30 while I was watching a training video and answering emails. So prep time is the half hour before we sit down to record this thing. So stuff like that's going to be unfiltered. So let's move on to the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you have not listened to us very long, this is a newer segment. And this is a situation where Craig and I look at the week that was. We pick out one thing that we really liked, the good, one thing that we were really bad, and then one thing that we were just like, oh my God, why? And it could be fantasy-based. It's anywhere in the NFL. So I'm going to start this week. The good this week, and I have a chance. I think there's a possibility we say the same thing.
Okay.
Cincinnati looked like it knew what it was doing. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. Cincinnati looked confidently like it knew what it was doing for the first time all year for me. They have played well. Don't get me wrong. I know, again, Craig's a Bengals fan. Cincinnati has played well in spots, but there has also been spots where they looked completely uncoordinated. Like they weren't working together on things. And that's happened this year too. This week against the Titans, they looked like a well-oiled machine, and they did so without Joe Mixon. I was very, very pleased with what I saw out of Joe Burrow this week. So the good this week for me goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. Who's your good this week?
That was going to be mine too. They played, like I said, they played really well, especially without Mixon and without Chase. Everyone stepped up well. The offensive line finally is starting to like play as a cohesive unit, which is very important because now the Bengals are very good with Joe Burrow not getting hit every other play. The big thing too, for me, was the Bengals defense. Last year in the playoffs, the key to beating the Titans is to stop Derrick Henry. That's what you have to do. They did that in the playoffs last year, and I was like, oh man, the Titans had a whole year to prepare, and they did it again. Henry had that one big run. Like, Henry is going to score a touchdown. He's going to have a giant run. There's really nothing you can do about it, like one happening, because it's going to happen. But they pretty much shut down the run game, and that shut down the Titans, and they look good. They look good.
Absolutely. All right, so the bad. This week, the bad for me was the bad for me is the Zach Wilson situation in New York. The Jets are 7-4.
Yeah.
And all I hear talked about, except for I'll tell you the story in a second. All I hear talked about in media is Zach Wilson. This Jets team has posted the second fewest points against in the AFC. They've only allowed 196 points through 11 games. That's 3 points better than the Bills, and all we've heard is how good the Bills' defense is.
Yep.
So they're not allowing points. They're 4-1 on the road. They're and what we're hearing about Zach Wilson. Today, I'm stopping at the local Dunkin' Donuts, and as I'm walking out, a coworker from Trumbull.
Okay.
Oh God, it's a terrible Dunkin' too. I have to order in advance and then pray that they have yet to put Splenda in my coffee.
Nice.
You put notes at the bottom of the order. I'm like, Splenda, please, today. Tomorrow it's going to be all in bold, and I'm going to walk in with a sign that says, "Where's the Splenda?" But anyway, as I'm walking out of the Dunkin' this morning with my coffee, one of my coworkers from another site is walking in, and he's been growing out a short beard, and it is bright green.
Nice.
And my first thought was, he's doing a Grinch thing, because he works with folks with a developmental disability. He might be just doing something to try to make them laugh, etc. And my first thought is he's the Grinch, or he's getting holly jolly, whatever it is. And he says, "Good morning." I'm like, what is this? And I point at my chin, like gesturing towards his, and he goes, "JETS, baby." And I went, "Oh my God, I thought you were getting into the holiday season." He goes, "That works too." And he walked right by me to go get his coffee. But I was
Nice.
just like, so here's a guy 7-4, and all I hear about is Zach Wilson. Your defense is stellar. Your offense is better than you thought it was going to be. You are right now on the edge of a play. Are they in a playoff spot right now?
I think right now
They're
technically
tied.
would be a wild card, I think.
Is there 3 wild cards?
There is.
There's 3. Yeah, there's 3 teams. 7-4 would be good enough for a wild card right now. So 7-4 would be leading the AFC South right now. Just saying. I don't want to hear any more about Zach Wilson. If you need to bench him, you bench him. I don't want to hear it. This team is riding its defense. They look like they're finally on the way up, and they're doing it without a franchise quarterback in theory. Let's just keep it going.
Yeah, right now the Jets are, if you ever played Retro Bowl without a named quarterback, that's what the Jets are doing right now.
Yes.
Though Mike White is good, so we'll see if he carries it over.
The problem is Mike White isn't consistent. Mike White was great when he stepped in last year and had one good start, and then he was crap the rest of the way. And that's the thing. If I see a decent start out of Mike White this week, then all of a sudden, all bets are off. Zach Wilson can get out of here. So, what is your bad this week? What was bad for you?
My bad for this week is still, again, they've been in this category a couple times, as the Packers.
They're
I
my
just,
ugly, so go for it.
I mean, the Packers just cannot. I don't know what. Like, I did not think Devontae Adams leaving the Packers would have this. Like, everything else is the same, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think it would have this much of an impact. I think they did have some injuries on their offensive line too, so that like never helps. But they are just not the team that everyone thinks the Packers should be or were going to be, especially if you look at them like the last decade. They're 4-8 right now, so
Yeah.
just not good. And I think he said he's playing, but Rodgers, I guess, broke his thumb possibly. Jordan Love didn't do too bad.
It is time for the Jordan Love experiment to begin.
It is.
At 4-8, it is time. It is time. And this is the thing. Okay, so a couple years back, Eli's last year, there was a whole heap and load of crap because they benched the guy. It started this huge streak of consecutive starts, and he was beloved, blah, 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 blah. This doesn't feel like that to me. This feels like Aaron Rodgers is done. Aaron Rodgers is done in Green Bay. He is not going to do anything meaningful for you at this point. If Jordan Love goes out there and you lose your last 5 games and go 4-13, what have you lost? And the answer to me is nothing. You've lost nothing. You've moved yourself up in the draft order. In a year, you are not going, even if you win your next 5 games and go 9-8, you are not making the playoffs. There is no good reason other than nostalgia to keep pushing out Aaron Rodgers. It is clear as a bell he is not your starter next year. Aaron Rodgers is not your starter. And now, P.S., I feel like a monkey genius because I got heavy criticized in our home league by one guy named Sean because earlier in the season, I packaged Aaron Rodgers and Gabe Davis for Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins. And right now, that looks like a pretty good deal because Rodgers has been horrible. Not that Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen have been groundbreaker. I knew Davis was going to fall off, and I knew Rodgers was not going to recover. So when the phone rang and somebody said, Rodgers really stinks, would you think about selling him low? My answer was yes. My answer was yes. And before anybody jumps up, well, Gabe Davis is great. I was overloaded at the Bills. That's the league where I had Dawson Knox, Stephon Diggs, and Gabe Davis. I needed to diversify my wide receiver core.
This is true.
I could not.
This is true.
I was one Josh Allen injury away from ending my season. And I didn't have Josh Allen. So that is my ugly. Green Bay needs to get its shit together, and getting your shit together at this point means understanding that it's time to move on from Aaron Rodgers. It is time to move on. Nobody likes to hear that when you talk about a Hall of Fame quarterback, but it's time to move on. All right, so there, I just compounded my ugly into your bad. What's your ugly then? So far we've matched up, but you've got to have something different.
So my ugly, and again, I mentioned them probably before in this, one of these 2 spots, is the Rams. They are god awful. Yeah. They are terrible.
178 points scored.
They are 3-8. They're just bad. I think they are the worst.
5 in a row.
I think they're having the worst season after a Super Bowl win than anyone's ever had. I'm gonna have to double check that during the week, but if not, they're up there. They
are the chair at the riot for Kyler Murray. And what I mean, if you've ever seen the I think I've mentioned on this podcast before, the show Boondocks, which is a fantastic commentary on race relations and like the community and
not
all that
Boondock
stuff.
Saints, just so everyone knows.
No, the Boondocks
thing.
But there's an episode of the animated series where one of the guys they talk about if you want to just get a riot to just go over the top, all you have to do is throw a chair. And at the end of that particular episode, one of the kids is in trouble, and this mob is angry at him, and they're closing in on him, and he literally looks around, and the only thing around him is a chair. So he takes the chair and he chucks it straight up in the air, and when it lands behind the crowd freezes, and they look at each other and they start fighting each other, and he leaves. So Kyler Murray is that kid, and the frickin' Rams are the chair, because at 4-8, he can throw the chair and say, well, the Rams are still worse than we are. I mean, you want to call me a nightmare. Look what's going on in LA. And they're not again, if you're not the worst team in your division, you can usually fly under the radar with how bad you are.
Yes.
Usually.
Usually.
Not always. Usually. I'm looking for a good example right now. The Raiders are 4-7, but the Broncos are 3-8.
There you
Ain't
go.
nobody talking about the Raiders other than they need to fire their coach.
That's
right?
true.
The Jaguars are 4-7. All the press I've heard about the Jaguars is how young and how good they look for a young team because the Texans are 1-9-1.
Yep.
Oh, what the hell tied with the Texans? My God.
Was it the Rams?
Wait a minute. How are the Texans the only team in the entire league with a tie? They had to play somebody. Oh, the Colts. They tied the Colts. Another team that there's no pride in that. There's no pride in tying the Colts. But yes, that's exactly it. It's the Ram, and I understand there's been injuries. I understand that Robert Woods left. I understand the running back drama, but that all falls on the coach to me.
No, the quarterback's hurt.
Quarterback's hurt. Kupp gets hurt. You know, at some point, Sean McVay has to get it together. Did you see this? Did you see the Chiefs game this week against the Rams?
Bits of it.
Did you see McVay get clocked in the face?
Oh yeah, that I saw. He got hit right in the jaw with someone's side of their helmet, and I bet that dude. I hope that dude had a good game because else he was getting cut.
I saw that live, and I was sitting on the couch, and I went, "Oh!" And I must have reacted very strongly because my wife was playing on her iPad, and she looked up and saw the replay, and she went, "Oh!" And I'm like, "Right?" And she goes, "Oh my God!" And she never watches football, and she reacted to it. So
that's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah. That will require a tetanus shot. All right, so that's the good, bad, and the ugly, which means it's time for America's favorite game. America's favorite game where I take a look at the lines and I encourage Craig to try and identify the games that are going to have high over-unders for good fantasy value and low over-unders for poor fantasy value because, shocking news, there is a correlation between fantasy points and actual points. I don't know if you knew that.
Dun, dun, dun.
There are still leagues out there where all you score is points on touchdowns. I would love to be in a league like that. I would be bad at it, though.
Yeah,
I'd be so bad.
It's like FanDuel picking who scores the touchdown.
That's literally what it is. And they literally just give you 6 points per touchdown. And so your final scores are things like 36-12. You know, it's interesting. So, all right. So this week, we have one game under 50. Under 40. Sorry, one game under 40. We have a lot of games under 50. We have one game under 40, and we have 3 games over 50.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm gonna bend our rules. You're gonna get 4 strikes here.
Okay.
But where do you want to start? You want to go for the low one first? You want to go for the high one first?
Let's go with the low one first.
Okay. What do you got?
All right, let me just look here really quick. I'm on week 13, right? Yep. Okay.
Yep. And look at a schedule that does not have lines on it.
Bills, Patriots, Steelers, Falcons. Both of them are not good. Broncos, Ravens. The Broncos are terrible. I don't even know if they can score. Packers, Bears. Division game. Jags, Lions. That's interesting. Browns, Texans, and Dumbass is coming back to play, so that's super. Let's see.
He's coming back to play against his own team.
NFL so did that on purpose. They could have made it 10 games or 12 games.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked it didn't end up being a primetime game. That's the only thing that's shocking to me about it is that it's not a primetime game.
Wow, the Commanders and the Giants are both 7-5, or 7-4 for the Giants.
Yes.
Wow.
Freaking Taylor Heineke has been amazing. Who thought it?
All right, let's go.
There's a game moment. I don't care what the number on that is. That Giants Washington Giants Commanders game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what the number is. I'm taking the under. That game screams 14-7.
Weird division games, man. All right, let's go because both these teams are bad, and I'm hoping. I don't want to wish unwell on people, but if he gets knocked out of the game, I'm not going to cry. Let's go with Browns Texans.
Wrong. That is a 47.
Really?
Yep, I'm taking the under there too. And the Texans are only 7-point favorites. Like Vegas is like, yeah, it's gonna be a shootout, but we don't trust Deshaun Watson coming back from suspension. Dude hasn't touched a football in like 24 months, so we have no faith.
All right,
So that's strike one.
Okay, all right. Let's go with my other thing because this I didn't want to beat up on them too bad because I've been in the ugly category so much.
Yeah,
Is the Broncos because they're bad.
yeah.
And the Ravens, for their record being 7-4, they are not as good as they were a season or two ago. So I'm gonna go with Broncos Ravens.
Broncos Ravens is correct. That's a 38.5.
Wow. Do you take that under or do you take the over?
The Broncos defense is still decent. I actually have given up the fewest points in the AFC. So I probably would not touch that game. I would not be shocked if that game was like 25-21, but I also wouldn't be shocked if that final score was 3-1. And yes, I know that's impossible. I don't care. Yeah, if that's a 7-3 final, I'm not surprised. Actually, that's not fair. The Ravens, well, no. Yeah, I would not touch that game either way. All right, so you got the low one. You got 3 strikes. I need the 3 games over 50.
Oh boy. All right, let's go with our game first. Let's go with the Chiefs and the Bengals.
That's the highest of the week at 53.
I thought it was going to be like 64.
The Chiefs defense has been playing a little bit better. The Bengals secondary looks to be pretty good. Guy Moore, all he does is fumble. Don't get me. You know what? I won't go off on the rail. You didn't watch the first punt return of the game. He fumbled it.
Did he?
And I had him as my captain and a captain's lineup because I was like, you know what? This guy's got to turn it around eventually. Yep. And I saw that and I went, well, fuck my life. He's not going to see the light of day again. So he fumbles the punt. They get the ball back. The next drive he comes out there he catches a pass instantly. And I'm like, oh my God, Sky Moore is okay. And then the next time the Chiefs are set to receive a punt, they put out Justin Watson to catch the punt. So basically, Andy Reid said, I'm done seeing this kid on freaking punt return. He doesn't know how to return a punt. But then he went out there and he had his best game as a Chief. I got to look up and see exactly what he did. He had his best game as a Chief on there it is, Rams Chiefs. He went 5 passes for 36 yards. Or a whoop-de-freaking do. Yeah, whoop-de-freaking do. That's his best output of the year. He hasn't caught. He caught 5 balls against the Chargers the week before for 63. Okay, sorry, it's his second bet. But last 2 weeks he has caught 5 passes back to back, and he hadn't caught 5 passes all season before that. Before November 20th against the Chargers, he had a total of 6 catches. He had 5 against the Chargers, and 5 against the Rams. He had 10 catches in 2 games where he had 6 catches in all the games before that. I think he might be starting to come on.
What's the really quick out of my curiosity? What's the line on the Chiefs Bengals game?
Hold on, I gotta go back to it. Where are you? And how is this game not in prime time? Was it supposed to be?
4. I think they bumped it. Is this the one they bumped?
They bumped it. Yeah, jerks. They bumped it for Colts Cowboys? Really?
Maybe.
No, it's 1.5. Bengals are getting 1.5 points.
All right then.
You guys have won like the last 3 matchups. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
You're plus 1.5. I wouldn't put money on it, but what just happened?
I don't know what just happened.
I've never seen that before.
What happened?
Literally, as I'm staring at the DraftKings page, the line just moved on Seahawks Rams.
Really?
It flashes and then the numbers change.
Huh.
Okay, I've never seen that before. The money line on the Rams just moved against the Rams.
Well, I mean...
Yeah. People were putting money on the Seahawks.
Okay.
All right, so that one's right. So you got 2 more. All 3 strikes remaining.
Colts, Cowboys, absolutely not. Saints, Bucks, nah. Let's go with a divisional game because they had a good game last week. Let's go Chargers, Raiders.
Chargers Raiders is correct. That's a 50.5.
Nice.
I'm not touching that game either. You know what? I'll touch that game. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna touch that game.
Whoa.
I'm gonna touch that game when the Raiders go up 14-3, and all of a sudden the Chargers are plus 12. I'm putting my money on the Chargers.
Just like you did with Houston when you get them like plus 35 or whatever.
Plus 35.5 because they were down 21-0 to Miami.
At one point.
I look at the line. It's plus 35.5, and I'm like, they're going to lose by like 3 touchdowns. And what was the final score in the game? They lost by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think so. I have to go back and look.
I'm like, it wasn't. I'm like, those are those in-game bets. It was 30-15. They lost by 15. I had 30. It was plus 35 points. You're giving me. It's 21-0. So the Texans actually outscored the Dolphins 15-9 down the stretch.
Yeah, because I knew that was going to happen. Because the Dolphins were just going to kind of stop.
Exactly. This is why you have backups. Did they even bring? No, Tua did not play the entire game. Skylar Thompson had 1 drive. Their leading rusher was Jeff Wilson.
Yep.
I mean, I'm looking at some of these names of people who caught balls. River Carcraft. I don't know who that. That sounds like a Dungeons and Dragons name.
It does.
Anyway, all right. So there's one more, and you got all 3 of your strikes. Come on, you got this week. I'm feeling good.
All right, let's go. Let's play the hot hand. Let's go with the Jets Vikings.
No, sorry, incorrect.
Ow.
Jets Vikings is a 44.5.
Really? Well, it is.
Good.
It is Kirk Cousins.
And the Jets defense are good. The Jets are a 3-point underdog. I don't know if I like the Jets plus 3 there. It is Kirk though. Yeah, Kirk Cousins could easily throw. Can I get a line on how many interceptions Cousins throws?
Over under 2.5.
Game props. Can I find that? No, it's too early in the week. Let's see if there's a All right, so is that strike 1 or 2 for you?
Crap.
That's strike 2, but you had 4, so you have 2 more.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's go. Dolphins 49ers. Now, the 49ers defense is actually really good. Seahawks Rams. Seahawks defense is decent, and the Rams are garbage. Let's go. I don't know about this.
Yes.
Man. No, Steelers Falcons. No. Bills Patriots. No, man, I don't like these for overs. All right, let's shot in the dark. Let's go Titans Eagles.
No, incorrect. Titans Eagles is gone off of my screen.
Wow, it's 0.
44.5. 44.5. All right, you got one more shot. Come on, I believe in you. You could do this.
All right. Saints Bucks, no. Colts Cowboys, no. Did that. Not picking the Rams. It's not the Giants. Jets, Browns. Okay, so we're down.
The process of elimination.
We are. We get the Jaguars and the Lions, both at 4-7.
Okay.
And the Bills and the Patriots. But honestly, the Bills, they look a little off like the last couple weeks.
And their defense is way better.
Yeah.
I mean, just because, remember, you're not necessarily looking for teams that are good, but you're looking for teams that score a lot.
True. Bears Packers, no. Neither one of them really score.
If Fields is in, I consider that conversation. But without Fields, no.
Yeah. All right, you know what? The hell with it. Let's go with 2 teams who will eventually be better, and their defenses are somewhere in the middle. Let's go Jags Lions.
Absolutely correct. Jags Lions is a 51.5.
Wow.
Because all they do is score points. Seriously, and the spread's 1. Jaguars are +1. I love I'll parlay the Lions and the over in that game all day long. What is it? Let me see if I can get a quick number on that parlay. That'd be +280.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
I would, yeah. I'm thinking I'm gonna do that at some point because it is just that's seriously. So okay, so Craig wins America's favorite game. Congratulations, Craig.
Thank you.
And we are way behind because I've just been dragging today, so we got to move on to the metric.
Yes.
So, good week last week. Sit down to do the metric this week, and I'm like, so here's what I did. I said I'm not looking at anything until the podcast. I'm going to run the numbers. I'm not going to read it, but I ran the numbers, and I'm going to sit down and look at it fresh. So now I've opened it up on my screen, and the first thing I see under quarterback is the name Joe Burrow. Burrow, 6,900. He's playing the Chiefs. He's played well against the Chiefs. Not like world ender against the Chiefs, but well. And I think that so 6,900, probably around 23, 24 points. I think he's actually going to be a little bit below that. I think they're both going to try and ground game this a little bit. So I think I'm going to take a pass on him. And believe it or not, I'm looking at buying shares of Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence at 5,900 is immensely appealing to me, and a game that should be an absolute shootout. Well, both those games should be really high scoring. But 5,900 feels like a good place. I might have a couple shares of Burrow and a couple shares of Lawrence. What do you think this week?
Yeah, I was looking at it, and and on the flip side in that game, is Patrick Mahomes, but he's 8,300, and that's expensive.
That's the problem.
That's
the cost.
It's a cost. It's a cost thing. So I do like Burrow, and then now actually, learning about the over for the Jacksonville game, Trevor Lawrence does seem interesting. And then if you want to go even a little bit cheaper, playing the hot hand again, Mike White is 5,400. So
I think I'd rather spend up the extra 500 for Trevor Lawrence, though. If it's fair. Lawrence at 59 or White at 54, unless I am absolutely desperate for those $500, I'm probably going Lawrence. So
That's
okay,
fair.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to running back. Let's see what we got here. All right, so I open running back.
People
and the
you've
first
never
thing I see,
heard of.
That's okay. There's something that's not right. Hold on. There's something wrong with this formula here.
I think it's sorted wrong.
What the hell happened here? Hold on a second. All right, we're gonna do some. We're gonna do it live.
Okay.
It looks like so. This is what happens when I don't actually look at it in advance.
People were basically the Bengals' third running back was listed first on the list.
Yeah, you know what it is? All right, it's missing a decimal point. Wait. This is Yeah. Okay, hold on a second. Stand by, folks. We're gonna have to do this live. Okay, so there. All right, now that makes a lot more sense. Hold on. Now I got to go into Google Docs and fix it so Craig can see it.
I closed it.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. Keep it closed for a second. Yeah, we're gonna be way over time this week, and you know what? I don't freaking care. I don't care. We're here. We're doing something nice for the people. Make it nice for the people. That's all. Okay, now if you want to go into, I listened to a training today that was so bad. You think stuff like this is bad? I listened to a training today where a lady made a mistake in reading the slide. She went, "Oh, wait. Okay. All right, I'll start again." Waited 15 seconds and then started talking like nothing had ever happened. And I'm like, "Lady, did you think they were editing that out? Because it didn't happen."
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was something. Okay, I think that's it. Is that it? Yes, that's correct. Okay, hold on. Stand by. For some reason, I don't know how, but the it didn't sort properly.
Oh,
how do how I've never actually had to do this in
doing it live.
Oh, here it is. Data sort sheet. No, I want where's the data? I want sorting here. Okay, for the love of all that's holy. Okay, so yeah. This is not for some reason this is not it's giving me all sorts of problems.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it. It won't let me sort now. Wait, here we go. Maybe I
blame Google.
Sort A to Z. I got it. No, that's not right either.
Oh, sad. How about
okay,
now?
we're gonna have to wing it. So the top name on the metric this week is Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's 8,000. He's probably gonna have a lot of points because Houston can't stop anybody. And so I've got him for about 25 points, which puts him over the 3x. Ramondre Stevenson is also interesting, but he plays on Thursday night, so I'm probably not going to touch him. But you know who's really interesting to me, who could be a nice dark horse candidate? I've got Rachaad White. Rachaad White is in a good position against New Orleans to score double-digit points. Tampa is just don't have anything else to work with. So at 5,600, I really like Rachaad White. The sheet you're looking at, Craig, is actually sorted by points. If you opened it, you're back in it?
Yeah, I'm back in it.
Okay. It's sorted by points, not by metric value, so that's the issue.
No, that's okay.
So yeah. So yes, you can base off, but that column H is still the metric value. So yeah. So who do you like this week at running back? You can only do so much with this for some reason.
I agree. I do like Rachaad White, especially since he's 5,600. You know, I was hoping he'd score a touchdown last week, but I think he showed what he can do, and I think they're going to give him the ball a lot more because why not with Tampa Bay with the way they are right now. I do also, again, I'm still a big fan of his, even though he had a bad week last week, is Tony Pollard. I still think Dallas is really not going to use Zeke as much as they used to, and the season is clearly showing that. And I think Pollard is more of a I don't know, every down back. He's more of like a utility back since he catches. So he can if in a good game, he can easily have 80 yards rushing and receiving and a touchdown with each, just as an example. But
I finally got it fixed. What you're looking at now is accurate.
Oh, okay. See that? Live. And
Jesus.
My kind of cheaper play is even though he's on a bad team, I'm still a believer in Dameon Pierce because Cleveland's rush defense is 30th in the league. So
okay,
he has potential to have a decent game, comeback game this week. Because last week was not good, but they were down by so much, they really couldn't run. So
okay, yeah, that makes sense. So do you know what I've learned today so far?
Yeah.
I cannot do these things live. I have got to proofread the sheets before we go live. And so that is the title Britt fucks up will be the title of this episode. So all right, moving on to wide receiver. Of course, coming off of the first time ever that the metric was right about Sky Moore being usable, because again, he only had 5 catches for 36 yards, but he was only like $2,900 last week. So that put him in the value range.
Right.
That was like 8.6 points. He was just under 3x. So this week they're like, well, he's going to have an even bigger role against Cincinnati, and he's still only 3,100. He's a good value play, but I can't rely on him. But looking at the other names on here, there really isn't a lot of people I do want to rely on. Garrett Wilson is interesting at 5,300, but we saw Elijah Moore come back to life last week. He's at 3,700. So I do like picking either Wilson or Moore, particularly if you go with Craig's suggestion, you decide to use Mike White as your super value play. There's an interesting stack there, but which one you use, I'm not really sure. I think this week I am going to go, I'm going to take a lot of value picks that I think are guys that I think are going to be reliable. I'm looking at names like Devontae Parker. I know he's good for at least 10 points or around 10 points, maybe 8 or 9. If he has a really good game, he gets up to 15. But he's only 3,800. Garrett Wilson, 5,300. Zay Jones is starting to come back on again. I like him at 4,900. But a lot of the bigger names, I'm looking at Adam Thielen. The Jets defense is just too strong. Hell, even Chase Claypool started to show signs of life last week. You could possibly make an argument for him at 3,800. But I'm probably starting with Sky Moore. And then if I have the money, and Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't terrible at 7,100. I probably won't touch him, but, help me out, Craig. Who do you like this week? Help me out at wide receiver, because I'm kind of lost here.
So wide receiver, I do, because they're still under $6,000. I do like the Jets receivers, especially Garrett Wilson and Moore. I would not use both of them, but pick one of them, because they're both under $6,000. Actually, they're both under 5,500. So.
Yeah, I mean, they're great for a value pick. I just don't know which one I trust right now because of the changes there.
True. Well, Wilson's technically the number 1 receiver, and Elijah Moore, he's been there all season, but Zach never paid attention to him. So yeah. Other plays this week, it's kind of, we're kind of in the middle of the season. It's like, yeah. Keenan Allen, he's healed. He's playing Vegas. He's 6,500. I know you don't believe in him, and he almost ruined my season because he was my first drafted receiver in a lot of leagues. But He's under $7,000. You need to explain to me how Jamar Chase, who hasn't played in 4 weeks, is $7,900.
Because he's still Jamar Chase.
All right, that's a fair answer.
And it's against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are decent against the run and terrible against the pass, like capital T terrible. and Chase has run routes that have completely confused the Chiefs in the past. The last couple times we've seen them, he's been wide open. It happens at least once a game where Burrow back to pass. He's looking for somebody, and then he chucks the ball. And then as the camera moves down the field, Jamar Chase is the only one still on the field. And it's not like he's like on a corner route, and he's in the middle of the field,
like by himself,
with a sandwich, and just waiting for Joe Burrow. And then all of a sudden, Chiefs start running in from the corners, like, oh my God, there's a guy on the. I don't understand how he gets so lost against us, but he gets lost against us. So yes,
that's fair.
I understand the price tag. I definitely understand the price tag. I'm going to toss out a name really quick that I've been tossing out a lot. Treylon Burks.
Yes.
Has been showing signs of life here and there. He's 4,600.
Yep. He got a big heads up play last week with recovering a fumble in the end zone. So
is he usable?
He is, because they don't have anyone else to throw to.
He would need 14 points to get to value. I don't know that he gets to 14 points is the problem.
Who are they playing?
They're playing Philly. In Philly.
They might have to throw a lot. So maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, so wide receiver is going to be hard, guys. You guys are going to have to figure it out on your own because wide receiver is a mess. Tight end, because we're literally almost out of time. I said to the metric, give me value. The metric said there is no value. Just use Dawson Knox and shut up. And I'm like, well, Dawson Knox plays on Thursday, so I can't use Dawson Knox. And he said, well, if you want value, Austin Hooper. And I'm like, Austin Hooper?
He still plays?
He's in Tennessee. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, I don't know. I'm not big on tight ends this week. Look like you're just gonna have to pick somebody you trust. You can't go high. You can't pay a lot. If I'm picking somebody, it might be Hawkinson. Tight end's been hard this year. Really hard.
It has been. If you want to go super cheap, Will Dissly's playing the Rams. He's 2,800.
That's not a bad pick either.
If you want to spend up a little bit, man. I mean, the most I would spend would probably be for Dalton Schultz at 4,100, but that even seems like expensive.
That seems high to me too.
Like Pat Freiermuth, I thought he was going to have a touchdown last week, and I don't think he did. No, he didn't actually.
Denver's so bad you can't trust Dulcich.
You can't.
Cole Kmet, can't trust him.
Hayden Hurst, maybe, but you don't want to. If you're stacking Bengals, you don't want to use more than 3 of them. Same with the Jets, for example.
Hayden Hurst might be interesting at 3,500.
Maybe, and then maybe I'm still an Evan Ingram fan, so he hasn't. Last couple weeks been kind of blah, but he's 3,000.
And if we think Jacksonville is going to score a lot of points, and that's going to be a shootout, then at 3,000 he might be a bargain. Ingram might be my dark horse there. I've only got him pegged for 6 points, but still he might be a dark horse there. Defenses, pick one. The metric likes the Titans because they're only 2,200, but Philly's going to score a ton of points. Honestly, I like the Jets at 2,600, and I will pay up for the Jets in that situation. Who do you like?
Same. I think I would pay up for the Jets this week. Miami had a really good week last week, but they were playing Houston. They're playing San Francisco this week, and San Francisco is better than Houston, so I wouldn't use them.
Fair enough. Just point of order: don't use the Chiefs or the Bengals this week. That's just my 2 cents. Don't use either of them. Just don't. Nope. All right. The Chiefs defense is 3,500, and I can't for the life of me understand why. I'm looking at this number and I'm trying to understand why anyone would spend $3,500 on the Kansas City Chiefs defense. But final thoughts. All right, go ahead.
I was going to say maybe because they were the top defense last week. Maybe I don't know.
Every week's a different week, and the Bengals are a far different team than the Rams.
That's
Anybody
true.
can look. The Rams are one of the worst scoring teams in the league right now. You can't base any sort of defense prowess against the Rams.
That's right. So that means if you want to spend up for a defense, take the Seahawks at 3,600 because they're playing the Rams.
Right. I mean, that's like saying, well, the Chiefs are the best defense in the league after 3 weeks. Well, who did they play? Well, they played the Texans, the Rams, and the Broncos. Yeah, of course they're going to be the best defense. Those are all teams that can't score. Those are all teams that are averaging like 12 points a game. You can't base it on that. I'm discounting that. All right, I'm sorry, we're out of time. So
Yeah.
final thoughts, Craig. What do you got for me in week 13?
Final thoughts, man. If you are in the playoffs, race for your league. Start making some fab moves, and spend that fake money because this is when you need it. So use it.
Absolutely true. My final thought is we're coming out of Thanksgiving and we're coming into the Christmas season. As much as everyone loves football and we want to sit and watch football, don't forget to spend some time, I don't know, around actual people, and do so safely. We're hearing on the news now that there is already a shortage of medications related to cold season. I heard a newscaster today refer to it as the tridemic.
Wow.
Because we're dealing with COVID, flu, and an influx in respiratory diseases.
Oh yeah, for kids, right?
Yeah, and some adults. I personally know an adult who just got diagnosed with RSV. And I was like, she's like 60. And they're like, yeah, that happens. And I'm like, it's not, I can understand very young and very old, but this person's like barely on the edge of like the older side of life. And they were like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So do source, but go spend some time with people. Spend some time, watch football with people. It's lovely, unless you're me and Craig and our teams are playing each other this week. Is that game on the television? Are we going to be able to watch it?
I mean, what else? Well, really quick, what else is on at 4:00? Because
I don't have this.
okay, so really quick, the other 4:00 games are the Chargers Raiders.
That won't be on locally.
The Dolphins 49ers.
No.
And the Seahawks and the Rams.
No, all the local teams are playing Thursday or early.
So I think it has to be.
Unless the AFC network, which for us is CBS, only has one game, in which case they're going to show the Jets-Vikings game, unless that game is owned by the NFC, which it won't be because the Giants are playing Washington. So Fox is going to have Giants-Washington in the New York market. CBS is going to have Jets-Vikings. As long as CBS has the doubleheader, we're fine. So anyway, you're fine too, particularly if you leave us a review. Whatever podcast service you use to find us on, please leave us a review. It really helps us out a lot. If you'd like to reach out to us, I am done with Twitter. I'm just sick of it. I don't need to be a part of the Elon verse. So please reach out to us via email. We are fignutsdfs@gmail.com. We're also locatable on Facebook. We are the Football Fignuts podcast there. We do love to hear from you. I just hate blogging on and seeing 7 messages from Elon Musk at the top of my freaking timeline, no matter what I've done or said. Like I don't follow the guy, but he is always on the front page of my timeline, and I'm like, well, wait to make this all about you.
It is his timeline, really now. So.
That's fair. That's fair. So we really appreciate it. We will be back next week, week 14. As Craig said, we are in the playoff stretch. Make sure that you are balancing your DFS budgets accordingly and getting ready to enjoy the holiday. So thank you as always. I'm sorry to rush us out of here, but we are way over time. We will see you next week. Until then, my name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts podcast. Hi, Deb. Gotta have time to say hi to Deb.